right, here we go. All right, I assume we're ladies. Everyone, we're live as of right now.
Make sure there's Lexie. Oh, God, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna put my phone on total silence.
It's all right. So I want to welcome everyone today. Thank you for attending our webinar. We have four distinguished guests with us today, and I'd like everyone to meet Miss Christi Wans. Christi, hello. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi.
And then we have Miss Lexie Signor. Lexie. Hi, Lexie. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now.
Awesome. And then we have Miss Sarah Stoneback, Dr. Sarah Stoneback. Sarah from Ladies, Montana. How are you doing?
Hello, great to be here. Thanks, Joseph.
Awesome. And then we have Kate.
Hello.
Kate, how you doing from New York City? How are you guys doing? Everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. And for those of you joining us, these are four very, very gosh, I can't speak today because I'm out of breath. Sorry, I just jogged in here. These are four very, very accomplished trumpet players. Christi is in the Oklahoma area. She plays with the Salvation Army. Is it traditional band? Am I correct?
Territorial band.
Territorial band. We have Lexie Signor, who is the director of. Oh, she's also the professor of trumpet at Indiana University. Am I correct?
Yes. Indiana State University.
Indiana State, sorry.
That's very particular. Joey would be mad.
Yeah, tell Joey I'm sorry. And then we have Dr. Sarah Stoneback, who is the professor of trumpet at University of Montana. Am I correct?
Montana State University.
Montana State. I had this written down. And we have Kate Edwards. She's a freelancer in the New York City area. Am I correct?
Yes, but I'm also an adjunct at New York University.
Oh, nice.
I'm also an adjunct in Oklahoma.
Oh,
yay!
Congratulations.
No
and
problem.
So again, I'm sorry, ladies. I had this written down and I don't have it with me, so apologize. So what we're gonna do is I would like to just for everyone watching online, I would like to just ask each and every one of you about your background, and so we'll start with Christi first. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and what you do?
Yeah, sure. How far back do you want me to go?
As far as give us the Reader's Digest version, I guess.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I got my bachelor's degree in music education and trumpet performance from Central Washington University with a guy named John Harbaugh. And then I moved to Oklahoma to do my master's and my doctorate at University of Oklahoma with Carl Sievers. They're both students of Bill Adam. So I was in that school. Lexie's fist pumping over here. And then after I finished my doctoral coursework, I started traveling to play a little bit. I was on a cruise ship in Australia for a few months, and then I joined the national and Asia tours of Kinky Boots. And now I'm back in Oklahoma, freelancing and teaching.
Awesome. As far as being a fantastic, trumpet player, you're an outstanding pick player as well, and also a great lead trumpet player. So I mean, I just love listening to your stuff. So thank you so much for being here. Kate, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your history, please?
Sure. So I've been in New York City now for about 10 years. I originally came here to do my undergrad at NYU, and then I did my master's in trumpet performance at Peabody in Baltimore. And I studied with a lot of really great people. I studied with Lori Frank, which was amazing. So if anyone doesn't know who Lori is, they better check her out, because her and her book and her whole history changed my life and really made me the player I am today. And I also studied with Tom Hoyt, who plays on Wicked, and Phil Snedeker and Joe Bergstaller. And actually going to be, lots of great people. I'm going to be starting my doctorate this fall at Stony Brook on Long Island with Kevin Cobb. So that should be fun. But yeah, just freelancing and teaching. I do a lot of different things, from like Broadway to solo stuff and everything else. So
awesome. Now, let me ask you a question. Did you say I studied with Lori at the New School?
Oh,
So
sweet. Yeah.
Where did you study with Lori at?
At NYU, yeah.
Okay.
New York University. Yeah, it was crazy because I was, I just moved to New York. I was 18, and then we had to like take the subway to go to her apartment, and it was just so crazy. I was like, wait, what? Like, why can't she be downtown? But then it ended up being like really nice to get away and to like be in her home and her space, and yeah.
You had an amazing sound, man. Kate, so Kate, thank you so much. Sarah, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Sure. Yeah. Well, first off, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks, Joseph, for doing this today. So I teach trumpet at Montana State University, and that's in Bozeman, Montana. And I'm also the principal trumpet player with the Bozeman Symphony Orchestra. And I grew up playing trumpet, essentially. I'm a triplet, and my sisters and I all play trumpet. And that's, we're also Conn-Selmer Bach clinicians and artists. And so ever since my first soloing performance was when we, as a triplet trumpeting trio was my 6th grade year, playing Bugler's Holiday and Trumpeter's Lullaby. So ever since then, I've had a really exciting career in music, performing all over the US, Europe, China. I did grad school, an undergrad, I graduated from Interlochen Arts Academy my senior year with my sisters, and then Arizona State with David Hickman for undergrad, and then toured full-time with my family. And then did graduate studies at CU Boulder with Terry Sawchuk for both master's and doctorate. Awesome. And fast forward, and now we're here.
Awesome. That's, I think, where I first met you is at ASU. I think I met you. I think we did like a gig at a Mexican restaurant.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
It was awesome. It was totally empty, but it was just us. It was awesome.
Yeah, we had a good time.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah. So, Lexie, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your background and what you're doing?
Yeah. Well, my background is actually like eerily similar to Sarah's. I too went to the Interlochen Arts Academy, but I didn't go for high school. I went for summer school. So I sort of graduated there after 4 years of summer school, did a music ed degree at Northern Michigan University, went on to teach K-12 for a while. And then I did 2 master's degrees at the University of Missouri, one in classical performance and one in jazz performance and pedagogy. And then recently finished my coursework at Indiana University, so the other school that I don't teach for.
Sorry, Joey. My mistake, man.
No, it's a common mistake. It works out to my benefit sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I teach at Indiana State University. I teach in the music ed portion of Indiana State, and then I also teach applied trumpet, and I run the jazz ensemble. So I'm like sort of all over the place, but doing a lot of different exciting things and trying to sort of bring Terre Haute up to speed. I spent a lot of time freelancing on the East Coast. I'm actually honestly surprised I never ran into you, Kate, for as much work as we both do out there.
I know, it's crazy. I feel like I knew of you, but we hadn't actually done anything together.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, did a bunch of freelancing out there, lots of musicals, lots of one-offs, a lot of rock bands and stuff, but just trying to bring that real world experience out to the students at Terre Haute. So
right. Well, one thing I really admire about you, Lexie, is your passion for teaching and your passion for, okay, the big band thing is great, the history is awesome, but this is 2020 and there's other things, and like how you're really exposing your students, your students, right, to other things like what's going on now in the music business. That's one thing I really admire about what you're doing, because I watch a lot of your videos and I watch a lot of what you do, and a lot of it's very educational based, and you're kind of like pointing the way for students, like, look, the basic big band is great. That's what you want to do is great, but this is where the industry is going. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Hold the door for the next person. You know, I had great teachers coming up in every aspect of my education. And, you know, one of the many uniting factors among them was that they held the door open. You know, if I was wanting to do orchestral stuff, they're like, okay, here's how you do auditions. These are the people you should talk to and take lessons with to do auditions. I mean, I took lessons with Bud Herseth, with Susan Slaughter, with like basically anybody who would see me for more than 5 minutes. But, you know, it was those teachers that held the door open for me that showed me how to really be a teacher. And I think that's really important. It's probably, you know, one of the most important things we can do as professionals is just, you know, be a good example and hold the door for the next person. You know, it doesn't frighten me to think that maybe someday one of my students will, you know, beat me in an audition. Great. Kick my butt.
That's right. Exactly. And that's, you know, that's the sign of, and one of the things I've noticed a lot of you have in common is the passion for teaching, you know, your students and sharing what you know. And you know, one of the things too, and I'm gonna gear this towards Sarah. One of the things Sarah does is if you ever get join her Instagram page, join her you know, catch her on Facebook. But she has a, you know, weekly warm up session where she even goes to other people, and she, you know, she does a warm up thing every Wednesday, and then she interviews like some of the top players in the country. And all that's student based, and it's free. It's never, you don't have to pay a dime for it. And the thing is, Sarah, again, is one of these teachers that opens the door for her. So, Sarah, can you talk about what you're doing as far as the educational part right now?
Thanks, Joseph. That is very kind. Thank you. The education is so important. I love, Lexie, how you said, hey, here's where we do this. There you go. Here's the open door. Because if we're not opening doors for our students, what are we doing? We're closing them. And we don't want that. We want them to have that openness and the ability to walk the path that they need to walk on. And we get the pleasure and the honor of walking with them in that journey. So the biggest thing for me as an educator, I want to create, communicate, and connect in new ways. And the performance arts, music, and education is perfect for doing that and finding opportunities to satisfy each one of those perspectives.
Right.
And as you mentioned, I do a lot of online sessions, and that's one of the best ways. I love communicating. I love connecting with people. I'm very extroverted. So when we think about shutting down, and I was like, no. So my knee-jerk reaction was reach out. Let's do this. And I also wanted to advocate for my students in that way too. I didn't want them to be less off, you know, because of what we were experiencing. I was like, we can create different things and more opportunities, and reaching out was that answer. And so I did throughout the semester, the MSU Trumpet Online Hangouts. Yeah. And that's where we introduced it, you know, people like Mike Sachs, Mike Vax in the summer, and just Nancy Taylor, Stephanie Richards, you name it. And then did studio swaps and residencies. And in the summer, I did the virtual coffee and trumpet sessions with Dr. S. And fill in the blank.
Right.
Yeah.
And those interactive things where people, despite, you know, the present times and what we have to work with, you know, all of you have found a way to communicate and to reach your audience, not even your students, but your audience. And, you know, Kate, I'm going to give this towards Kate. Kate, you being in New York City, and really, and you know, it's such a huge demographic of things where in New York, you know, there's a lot of performance opportunities, but now it's shut down. I've noticed, what are, you know, some of the things, you have your own show, you actually have your own show right after this.
Yeah, you know? That's in 2 hours for anyone who wants to come.
Can you tell me what you know, as a teacher, and how you're reaching your students during, you know, what's going on right now, and also how you're reaching your audience? What have you decided to do?
Well, I love what Sarah was talking about with her students and creating these online communities. My studio right now isn't big enough to do anything like that, although I definitely want to in the future, but I've still been teaching all of my students online and playing duets with them, which I think is super important. A lot of people are like, no, we can't play duets anymore, but there's a way. So if you still don't know how to do it, like message me and I can explain. But yeah, just like that connection with them, like having them play with me, like even for me to play with another trumpet player is really important right now. But as my own, for my own playing, I'm doing a lot of these live stream shows. So I'm trying to do one like about every 2 months or so. And starting in March, I commissioned a lot of these new short pieces. So every piece is like 1 or 2 minutes long, sort of about the composer's time in the quarantine, but also like all of the other things that are happening right now, which there are so many things to write music about, it seems. And so I'm just trying to do these shows and premiere them. I also have been doing a lot of those, just like us, many trumpeters on the same video and big brass collaborations. So I have this trumpet octet that I'm going to be dropping in about a week, which is going to be crazy cool with a lot of these amazing players who I won't name right now, but who are in like literally all of the top groups that we can imagine. So just like finding new ways to connect with people and also challenge myself, because arranging and editing in terms of audio and video, all of these things were very new to me. And now 5 months in, I can say that I've gotten a lot better at them. And so it's nice to be able to continue to push myself forward as well.
Awesome. So let me ask you too, Kate. I have a lot of friends, and we even probably have some mutual friends in the New York area. What is the state of, what is this as far as, schools opening up? Because I went to the new school, and and you went to you're at NYC right now, right?
Yeah.
So like, what is as far as like the music scene, as far as it trying to adapt in New York City, what is happening that what you can see?
Yeah. Well, I think all of the schools are going to be online, but I've done a couple gigs in person now, and we'll do them either like with the mask that you can like put your mouthpiece under, or just like really, really spread out. My brass quintet is playing in the park every weekend, and we'll just like spread out like crazy, and people will come up and watch us, and we have like a sign that has our Venmo and everything. So I think people are finding ways to do it. Of course, since everything's outside, it creates its own challenges with space. But I've seen more and more gig blasts in the near future. So I think things are starting to come back a little bit, but it's really sad how, much Broadway and every other huge orchestra is affected. So they haven't figured that out yet. So.
Like I said, little by little is even good. And it's encouraging to the students and people that are coming after us.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask Christi, one thing that really has got my attention when I saw your piccolo trumpet videos. First of all, you're an outstanding piccolo trumpet player, and on top of being a great trumpet player. But let me ask you this: how did you say, okay, well now this is the route I'm going, and this is how I'm going to get to my audience and to my students? Like, what was the first project you did, and how did you keep building on that?
That's a good question. I honestly am not entirely sure. I joined this Facebook group that a friend of mine invited me to, where we upload different videos every day of different excerpts, and I got to the point where I finally had a couple things that I was kind of happy with. Normally, I think the last time I posted a recording of myself on the internet before that was like over a year before all this stuff started hitting. So I just jumped on, and whenever I got a recording I was pretty happy with, I was like, I feel like this is the way the world's going right now. So I'm just gonna, try to network a little bit. And it worked out, like you talked to me. I try to market myself as a piccolo trumpet or a soprano cornet, like a high horn player in general. I know, like, I worked in commercial music, but
you have mad lead chops too. So
I always consider myself a fake lead player. I'm a piccolo trumpet player first, and I have a high range. So the notes will come out. And you lean into the microphone and you pray. So it's great. But yeah, I started posting on my own personal page, and I tried to kind of make there be a reason for me to post other than just like, hey, look at me. Because that's not what I'm super uncomfortable doing that, and I always have been. But like I've been posting a lot more videos of imperfect practice recordings lately.
Wow.
I think that that's really important.
Yes.
I've been just thinking a lot about transparency lately and how pressured I've always felt to get something perfect right away. So that's been like the current theme of things that I'm going with. Also, that way I don't have to sit there and torture myself to get perfect recording. When I have like an hour, especially since I've started teaching more during all this. So yeah, I just like playing. I like music.
So, question, Christi, like a lot of your peers here, you've done the road. You're not. One thing I really like about every single one of you, and I admire, is that as soon as you guys were done with school, you went out there. You didn't just do the academic thing right away. You went out there. You got the real world experience. So when you come back to the classroom, you have something to offer your students. You didn't just, oh, I'm going to go do a master's, I'm going to do a doctorate, and you just didn't do the academic thing. You went out there, and you saw what it was like to earn a living. So when you came back, you could tell your students, okay, well, I've been out there, this is what it's like. And so let me ask you this: what prompted you to go on the road? You were on the national tour. Was it Asia tour of Kiki Boots? Am I correct?
National tour and then Asia tour after that.
Yeah. So how'd you get that gig? If you don't mind me, like, how'd you get tied in with that?
It seems it's a surprisingly simple answer. I emailed the company and asked if they had an opening, and they sent me a recording to track down for them just through my iPhone selfie camera, and then a week later I had a job offer. So I think it's just a matter of knowing who to contact and have like a demo reel ready to go when you do that. I hadn't done a lot outside of just like my local areas before that. I played with a theater in New Hampshire, New London Barn Playhouse. It's awesome. Their season's canceled this summer, but they should be back up and running soon. I still play with them when I can.
Cool.
That was really my first venture into the Broadway scene, other than just local productions. So I think that helped my way along. But otherwise, you just have to be ready to jump when there's an opportunity, I think.
Right. And this brings me to I'm going to go to Lexie now. Lexie, let me ask you a question. So, you're teaching, you're putting out all this content. And the question, I think one of the things I really like about all of you is the quality of content you put out. You just don't put out high note videos and go, look at me and my mouthpiece. Here's a double C. It's not that. It's just like, it's the quality of your content. I mean, and I think that's what stands each and every one of you out. And I'm being very honest and transparent here. But one thing about, Lexie, she talks about the things that bug her as a teacher. And that a lot of students don't know that. So Lexie, can you talk about, when you put out a video, talk about the content and talk about how you go about, how you start arranging content for your videos and how do you go about.
Yeah. So, I would love to be able to sit here and be very like kumbaya and be like, yes, I have an outlining process and I meditate for 20 minutes while I light my Nirvana incense. It's not like that at all. I actually am unfortunately really addicted to TikTok, and I love I follow like 3 or 4 creators, and I'm addicted to TikTok both because it's very entertaining, but also like just from an entrepreneurial standpoint, there are TikTokers and YouTubers and other platforms as well. They are now making their entire income online, generating content about subjects or fantasy art or whatever it is that they are passionate about. And so really I look at a TikTok as sort of a template, because my target demographic is, young people. Like, I want to reach out to young trumpet players or young musicians and just be like, hey, it's not all very super serious all the time. Like, there are serious things we talk about, but I like to talk about them in a funny way to make them approachable and maybe not so scary. So usually what I do is I'll like futz around with TikTok for like 10 minutes, and I'll go and I'll bookmark. They call it on there. It's called liking, but it puts the video in a queue for you. And so I'll go back and I'll refer to the queue, and I'll look at each one and I'll go, okay, how do I adapt this to the trumpet world? What about this meme? What about this, joke can I make even funnier for the music people in the world? And you know, some of them flop, some of them just straight up go over people's heads, and they're like, I don't understand. But like, you know, all the stuff that I put out that's trumpet centric, I've had really great feedback over. I mean, and the Dr. Word Nerd thing is mostly me trying to keep myself motivated to just get this dissertation figured, you know, done. But the trumpet stuff, you know, I think I don't know, maybe I'm just crazy enough to say what we're all thinking as teachers and players.
No, well, that's again, I think that's, and I think all of us will agree, you do say what we're all thinking as players and as teachers. You know, one of the things I love of one of the videos I wish I could like it a million times was the mute video, where you're talking about if they ask you to use a mute, please use an effing mute. You know what I'm saying? Right?
Yeah. Like, oh my gosh. So I run a big band, you know, and I mean, there is no other genre, well, other than new music, new art music for orchestra or large ensemble. Like, those are very mute-centric too. But like, as a college-age trumpet player, like, you have to have all the freaking mutes. You have to. And it's not good enough to just replace one mute with another, because it's not about volume, it's about timbre, it's about color, it's about honoring what that composer really meant. And so, you know, it totally grinds my gears when I look back in my trumpet section and I'm like, what part of harmon mute do you not understand? Like, I just like, I have to like goose fraba, don't explode, you know, like I have to like rein it in for a minute. But the other thing too, and it's different at every school, but at ours, you can rent mutes. You can rent a whole set of mutes. Yeah, they can go down to our equipment specialist, with whom I am dear friends, and hey, Kelly, I need a harmon mute, or hey, Kelly, I need a whole set of mutes for big band, and they're matching. They're all Stoneline mutes, other than the harmon mutes, which are harmon mutes. But you know what I mean? Like, it is super simple.
Wow,
so do it.
That is amazing. Wow. Okay, we're gonna come back to that. I really.
If you haven't checked out funny TikTokers, let me know. I can put you in the direction of some of the creators that I really enjoy, whose content I steal constantly.
Awesome. Yes. So, Sarah, again, can you tell us how you go about arranging your content for your audience?
First off, Lexie, you make me chuckle so many times. I'm like, I just like one after another, and finally by that last one, I'm like, oh, you go. Yeah. So, you know, I've been asked that several times, and through the past months, and honestly, it's what speaks to me. You know, what do I love doing? What is on my mind, as you know, in different aspects of life as well. It's not just the performance, it's not just education, it's how all of our passions intertwine and work together, essentially, to create that whole person or persona, I guess. Yeah. And so I feel like social media can be a platform to share the whole self in a way. And so when I think about what do I want to post, I think about, why did I choose it? Okay, this is surface level here. Why did I choose to do this with my outfit? I changed it 10%. Yeah. What do I do when I play a solo line that everybody else plays a certain way? Right. I'm going to change it 10%. So instantly you have fashion and you have music. Both worlds are intertwined, you know, colliding. Right. And I'm also, one of my areas of specialty, or my expertise in, I have an area of expertise in applying a cognitive learning theory to teaching music at all levels. That was what my dissertation is on. And Lexie and Christi, you guys keep going. You go for it. And it just, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah. It just takes a while. But so that comes into play in a lot of my content as well. Yeah. I believe that it can be used as a tool to reach people and reach beyond the walls of your home, and really helping, honestly. So when I post about educational perspectives, I really want it to be something that someone sees and says, oh, I can do that. Oh, I get that. I can incorporate that. Or even when I do vulnerability or that transparency that Christi was talking about, I'm diving into jazz. So I'm calling it the, hashtag Operation Jazz. And I want people to see that we can learn no matter where we're at in the process. And I want my students to see that as well. Like, it's just not, I've arrived. We really haven't. We just keep growing and we keep stepping.
Right.
Just, so social content is being yourself and showing the world who you are.
Right. Well, I mean, you have a very valid point there. I think, and we were talking about the quality of content, like with Lexie and yourself, when I see your videos, it's just like I said, it's not a high note video. It's not a look at me play this excerpt video. Like with Christi, she talks about what not to do. I mean, people don't explore those things. And one thing I really like about every one of your videos is that there's a point. It's just not a self-indulgent, hey, look at me, look what I'm doing, thumbs up. There's a point. And I think because there's so much out there that I'm sure all of you would agree that is not even worth 5 minutes of your time. Mouthpiece videos, high note videos, guys just screaming bloody murder for no reason, people playing as fast as they can and going, ooh,
go Joseph, isn't trumpet higher, faster, louder?
No, it's not that.
I'm kidding. Yeah.
But you and all of you know that. So, and this goes to Kate, because one thing I noticed about Kate does a lot of, a lot of content out there that's very musical. And so Kate, can you talk about, as far as when you put out content, what do you think about? You're like, okay, I'm going to put this out there because blank.
Yeah. Well, it was so funny hearing Lexie talk about how she plans her content, because I'm honestly totally that person. I make a spreadsheet and I have a plan, and yeah, honestly, I just love being organized, and it really works for me. And so I sometimes do it by the week, but lately, because there's not a lot going on, I'm doing it by the month, and it's a lot easier to see like which week I should be practicing which certain thing and all of that stuff. And I mean, even just with my shows, like speaking of music having a point, I'm commissioning a lot of BIPOC composers and like trying to expand all the music that I'm playing, and so that it's not dead white men, because that is a thing that has been done so many times. And I also just want to say that, like, with everything happening now, like, fortunately this isn't new to me. Like, both of my albums featured music by BIPOC composers and people that were not dead white men. So it's not new, but I also, with posting about it now, I'm just trying to like continuously remind people and show people like there are these great pieces by diverse composers, and I'm finding them. I'm asking my friends to write them. You can go find them too. You can play these pieces. You can ask your friends to write pieces for you, and sort of just showing people that, yeah, this is a whole other direction you could go in also. So. Well,
and then one thing too, it's like you'll do a jazz piece and you'll do a classical piece. Mm-hmm. You're just not in a box.
Yeah, try not to be. Yeah.
And I think a lot of that, again, what a lot of you have in common is you're not one-dimensional players. None of you are one-dimensional players. You all are very well-rounded individuals as far as the music spectrum. And one thing I've noticed that a lot of people tend to do is they tend to gravitate either when we're talking towards the jazz stuff or the classical stuff. We're talking students. Mm-hmm. They're not, a lot of them are like, okay, well, I like high notes. I'm only going to see guys that do major first. Or I only like classical. I'm only going to see guys that can do the Brandenburg, And so I think one thing with you, Kate, one thing I really liked about you is like, wait a minute, there's other composers that incorporate both mm-hmm. in their pieces, and you're putting that stuff out there, and I think that's really important. And you're talking about, you're right. The Brandenburg has been done. I mean, it's been done. It's fantastic, and it's great, but there's other stuff out there. And
yeah. But I also feel like, being a diverse player, it just informs every aspect of your playing. I mean, like being able to play a classical solo and thinking about a certain phrase from a jazz perspective makes me play it better than someone who's just a classical player. Right. And I like and even like when you're in a rock band and there's like this random piccolo Beatles moment, like having that foundation of like the right way to play a certain style is extremely helpful. So.
And and this is going to, again, Kate. That's exactly why you're really good at what you do. But I was going to ask this to Christy. Christy, I noticed, and correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, you when you play piccolo, you do you approach it from a jazz perspective because you're very am I wrong?
Um, yeah.
Okay, I'm wrong. I mean, because I've noticed even your phrasing. I mean, it's very correct, but the way when you play piccolo, I think I was like, she has to be a really good jazz player in order to play piccolo that well.
I'm a terrible jazz player, but no.
I was like,
I mean, I like I said, I've always considered myself a classical player first.
Right.
There was a moment in my undergrad. I went to a very good jazz school.
Yeah.
Undergrad, but I wasn't there for jazz. I was there for music education. And so I played in the jazz bands for a while. At a certain point, I decided I either needed to invest a lot of time into improvising and to make that work, or I needed to let that go and focus on my strengths, and that's what I ended up doing. Right. I kind of wish that I hadn't as much as I did, but overall, yeah, no, I just listen to Maurice Andre until the records melt, basically.
Well, if you're gonna listen to anyone, it's Maurice, right? You know, I mean, that's so. Folks, I hope you don't mind. And again, I wish I had. I'm trying to get to everything. I got some questions. Is it cool if we ask some questions? This one is for Sarah. Sarah, Daisy asked, I've heard so much about the Stoneback sisters and their touring schedule. I've seen you online. I've seen you on YouTube. Is there any plans of doing any type of touring in the future? And if so, where?
Oh, that's so cool to receive that question. Thanks, Daisy. And from my understanding, you have ties and roots to Arizona State University. And I think that's really special because my sisters and I, we all did our undergrad at Arizona State with David Hickman. And one of the things that we did while we were there, and very pivotal, and what brought us to the university, along with obviously David Hickman, and is the ability to work exclusively from the Mendez Library. So during that time, our repertoire increased significantly with Rafael Mendez trios that he and his twin sons actually performed when they were on the road together. So I thought that multiple connection was really special, right. This being a triplet. So for several years, ever since we started playing trumpet, past our undergrad, we have been performing together. And so right now, we're all in 3 different geographical locations. One is DC, one is Colorado, and one Montana. And so we have been talking about what we might be doing ahead. And I don't want to say anything exclusively right now, but there's things that we're talking about, and I very much value and love performing with my family. So I'm Daisy. I'm going to keep you posted. Okay. And thanks for watching online, though.
So Daisy, if you're watching this, I'm sure you are. Go ahead and friend Sarah. She's the nicest, one of the nicest ladies in the world. One of the most awesome people I know. So go ahead, friend her, and she will give you all that information. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Yeah, thanks, Daisy.
So next question is for Lexie, and I wanted to know this too. Lexie, you have toured with Adele, am I correct?
Yep.
And so the question is for you this: what was it like playing with Adele? What is she like, and what is the book like?
Okay, those are all really fabulous questions. 2 of 3 of them are questions I get asked a lot. So I'll answer those first. Adele is very generous with her musicians. She has a core band, like her sort of piano, bass, drums, guitar, like the rhythm section is really who she travels with all the time. I was a part of an all-female orchestra for Adele, and I did one of the legs of her USA tour. did a few dates with her, and on that tour, she was just so generous. I mean, like, I stayed in a really nice hotel. There was never any shortage of food. Like, our spread was ridiculous. Like, there was an entire table devoted to cheesecake. I mean, how do you go wrong? I'm not joking. Like, every night it was a different thing. There was like, 3 or 4 like hot trays of like Alfredo. There was like one night they did breakfast for dinner, so they did like biscuits and gravy and pancakes and waffles, and I'm not talking like just sitting there in a tray. I'm talking like an actual chef standing on the other side of the table going like, how would you like your waffle? What would you like on it? Would you like me to put anything in the batter? Like, there was an omelet chef there. Like, it was awesome. I felt like she appreciated us.
Yeah.
And so that being said, I've actually never met Adele.
Oh.
Yeah. So the only interaction that I had with Adele was how I was treated. And I learned a lot that way, because I've never met this woman. I mean, I could pick her out of a crowd, of course, because everybody can, but I've never met her. And so, the most I saw of Adele, like, I didn't even pass her in a hallway. Like, so her sound check, she was not present. She was on a wireless microphone from an undisclosed location, because she's very famous and she just doesn't want to deal with the riffraff, and who can blame her? So we would sit in the orchestra and we'd get wired, and we'd, get all set up, and then we would hear her, we would be able to understand what the balance and everything's going to be like. Didn't see her. When she was performing with us, she came up from an elevator in front of us. She never passed by us. She was never, I mean, talk about social distancing. She was never within 6 feet of me, ever. And in fact, it was more like 60 or 600 a lot of the time. But yeah, those concerts were really magical, because, I mean, Adele, as we know, doesn't travel or doesn't tour very often. She's a very private person. And so just to be a part of something that was so rare in the first place was really exciting. Yeah. Listening to like a couple 100,000 people scream at the same time, and you're the trumpet player playing the highest note in the chord in the middle of Skyfall from 007. That job doesn't suck. Like, that job was really cool.
That's awesome.
Like, you guys don't care that I'm playing a whole note right now, but you're cheering for me.
Yeah. Right.
Or at least in my head, it was that way.
So, was the book pretty difficult?
No, the book is very straightforward, because they pick up an orchestra in every different region, so it has to be very approachable. I mean, they book wonderful musicians every place we go, of course, but it's just the logistics of putting a band on the road or putting an orchestra on a road. You just never know who you're going to get, and you want to make sure that it's amazing no matter what. So it was not a difficult book. The most difficult thing about the book was understanding how your trumpet playing or your part fit into the whole, because as musicians, we grow up in this discipline like, okay, this is an orchestra, this is your part, this is how this works, this is what the balance should be, and this is universal. Not in Bridgestone Arena, it's not. Yeah. That's not how that works.
Exactly.
Whole different ball game. And furthermore, you don't have any control over the sound anyway. Yeah. So that, I think, was the hardest part about the book. The book was very straightforward. It was a lot of, I mean, if I'm speaking to trumpet players out there, it was very Beethoven-like. There were a lot of unison, like sort of homophony. The sections were always moving together. It was mostly long notes, but the things that were exciting were really exciting. Like, when you had a moment, you better nail that. Also, because it was probably quarter notes and eighth notes, and you better nail that anyway. Yeah. But it was like the only moving thing at that time. Like, they wanted to feature the brass, so like you really had to bring your A game. You got to sound like the freaking London Symphony Orchestra. Right. You're not.
So what was, and just going into a little bit deeper, how was that different? I mean, you've done a lot of high profile gigs, like the Philharmonic in New York City, and you've done a lot of high profile stuff. How is this? I mean, every experience was different, but was this? Yeah. This wasn't just another day at the office for you, right?
No, it was. I don't know. In a lot of ways, it was, and in a lot of ways, it wasn't. Right. I don't get a lot of calls for orchestral work, and I don't think that's for any particular reason other than availability. As with all freelancing, it's just usually being the right place at the right time. So that right there was just kind of novel for me. I'm like, oh, I'm principal trumpet in an orchestra today. Neat.
Yeah.
But in a lot of other ways, it was sort of a day at the office because, you know, it's a large ensemble. I was in a section of like players. There was one other trumpet player and a horn and tenor trombone and bass trombone in the brass section.
Yeah.
Instead of standing, we were sitting, and we had in-ears and we had a click. You just follow along. And that's not unlike a lot of high-profile gigs. I mean, when I was playing for Keith Urban, it was the same thing. The only difference here is that we got the benefit of a rehearsal. Like this, you didn't even get a rehearsal. You're just like, all right, we're going to go do the thing. Ready, go.
Right.
And you show up in your concert blacks, and you do the thing.
Right.
So, yeah, it was a little bit of both. A little bit of the usual and a little bit, you know, out of the box.
Gotcha. Cool, thanks. So this, I have, again, I'm trying to mosey on over. Christi, I have this question for you. This is for you. And we had talked about this earlier. What is it like to play in the Salvation Army band? Now, I just want a disclaimer here. Everyone thinks that's an easy gig. In my opinion, it's a very hard gig because you can't miss. And you have to be super clean all the time. Am I correct?
Sure. I mean, I think at a certain point that kind of goes with most gigs.
Yeah.
But no, Salvation Army, there's so many different levels to Salvation Army. I didn't even realize until a couple of years ago that it was anything more than like a thrift store and the bell ringers. But when I got off tour, I was playing with the Frontier Brass Band in Oklahoma. And we did a joint concert with the local core band that is in Oklahoma City. And I connected with them there, and there was an open invitation, like I said, right after I got off tour, right after I got off the road. So I didn't have a whole lot going on, and I just wanted to play more real music that I really enjoyed. I like soprano cornet a lot. So I started going, and immediately I was like, man, like I went for selfish reasons because I wanted to see what was in the water, like why all these amazing musicians kept coming out of the woodwork, like, you know, Mark Reidenauer, there's an up-and-comer named Anthony Barrington that you'll hear about soon. He's a freak. But yeah, so there's core bands where they train people, and it's just your regular church band. And then there's divisional bands, which I play with the Arkansas Oklahoma divisional band. I play flugelhorn with them. That's a few state radius. And then there are territorial bands, and there's like 7 of those in the country. I might be wrong. I'm still new. I don't know anything, honestly. But the Southern Territorial Band covers basically from Oklahoma to Washington, D.C. and down to Florida, this quadrant.
Yeah.
Which is actually where Phil Smith, I think he's from Georgia. If not, he's in Georgia now. Yeah. He completely lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. I'm terrible at interviews. No, so it's great. The nice thing about brass bands in general, that you're taking the strings and the woodwinds out of the equation. And normally those are the instruments that you'd give all the super technical, more difficult things to. In the brass, just go, wait for 80 bars and then play a whole note or something, or a fanfare. So they're taking orchestral transcriptions. They're taking original music written by Salvation Army composers. They're taking like original music written for just brass bands. And it's amazing music that you don't have access to otherwise. And for me, I normally am the soprano cornet player, depending on what band I'm in. And in that case, I get to kind of just sit on top of the band. And it's the closest thing I get to playing piccolo trumpet in an ensemble on a regular basis. And yes, in that place, if you miss, everyone's going to hear it. Laser beam in a field of kittens, so it's exposed, but it's a good challenge, and it makes you just figure out how to play lyrically in the upper register, I think, a lot more often.
Yeah, and I've noticed, especially when you're on a high horn, it doesn't matter what you're, but the margin for error gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. You have to be clean, you have to be precise, and
or nothing's going to come out. So
yeah, exactly. And so let me ask you this: how is that, being in that position, how do you, and playing, and you say you're playing this repertoire that you're playing, what about your background prepped you for that chair?
I I don't want to keep mentioning Maurice Andre over and over again, but
Well, hey, gonna mention the best. Mention the best, right? I mean,
yeah, I'm a fanboy of Maurice Andre, but also just I had good teachers. You know, I had a wonderful high school music director who studied with Keith Johnson, well before he got to UNT, and he kind of wouldn't let me do something stupid ahead of time. He kind of made me focus on musical lines, and he put me in a lot of pressure situations because he wanted to push me. Then studying with all the Bill Adams students that I have, you know, we focus so much on just visualizing the sound that you want, and that's first and foremost, and the physical things are kind of taken out of the equation when you do that, I think. And you know, like I have my own little variations on different things. I probably spend more time on just the front of the note than the average Adam routine, but otherwise I'm just thinking about a musical line when I'm playing and just not letting myself change my sound.
awesome. I got one question. I think this is geared. I'm sure this is geared for Kate because she lives in the New York City area. Thank you so much, Christy, for that answering that. Kate, this is from Bonnie. Bonnie she's getting ready to finish up her master's this year, and she wants to move out to New York City.
Oh, awesome.
And she doesn't know whether that's a good choice or a bad choice. I mean, we talked about it's slowly coming back. But let me ask you this, from someone who's there in the town, working the town right now, I mean, what advice would you give to someone who's thinking about coming out to New York City, right? Like say in the next year or so, like what can they do to help them, you know, not break in like in the big stuff, but just break in general?
Yeah. Well, I would say first, like, make sure you're practicing all the things, everything ever.
Yeah.
I came to New York when I was 18, but I always sort of envied people who came when they were older and had all of their things figured out a little bit more, because I met some people when I was that young and I had just got here. And then those people, now I'm trying to network, but I'm like, oh, they knew me when I was young, but like now I'm like really, really good. So like, don't remember me then, remember me now. And so it can be hard to like change people's perception of you. So definitely make sure like when you arrive somewhere, I mean, this is New York specific, but also anywhere, like make sure you're presenting the right sound and vibe that you want to be, because it is hard to make people change how they think of you. But especially with social media now, I feel like it's pretty easy to meet people who live in any area. I definitely didn't have that when I first came to New York. So, I mean, you know, we had Facebook, but it was different. I feel like with Instagram, it's a lot easier to find like all of the New York trumpet players and like who plays jazz in the city and like all of that stuff. So it can definitely be a lot easier to meet people in that sense. But even eventually what, you know, like having the Zoom hangs, like buying someone coffee, meeting in a park, like, you know, I did a lot of that kind of thing of like one-on-one networking and just asking someone about their experience and how they got to be where they are. I think you'll find that people are a lot nicer than you think they are. And especially now, everyone's always willing to hop online to share something. And I feel like people are always really good about talking about themselves. So if you get someone else to talk about themselves, like they're, you know, like everyone wants to tell their story and like, let me tell you about why I'm successful. And so like, yeah, but also like we all want to help people. So I think people would be really nice to a younger person coming, but I would definitely say practice a lot.
Practice that. And so, folks, I want to, first of all, before we wrap this up, I want to thank all of you for taking your time and doing this for me. I mean, you know, one thing I've noticed, if you guys think it, like Christy has this grin the whole time, and it's amazing. Every time you see her, she's like, it's really nice to see someone smiling all the time. So, one thing I'm going to ask you guys in closing, first of all, and I want you guys to help me out here. We'll start with Lexie, but can you tell me, Lexie, what do you think your foreseeable future as far as your career? What is going to be mostly your focus?
Well, I think, and I don't want to speak for everybody here, but I feel like a lot of musicians are very unsure. What I can say for sure is that, you know, I'm going to keep making music and I'm going to keep trying to hold whatever doors I can hold open for students open. I like to try to build communities and just have fun and make music and just pass along the good info that I've been given. You know, in a concrete sense, I'm looking forward to teaching at ISU for a while longer. I'm just getting started with the studio. It doubled in size this year. So, I went from having about 10 trumpet players to about 20 trumpet players.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to building up the big band. Hopefully going to do an album in the next 2 years or so with the big band, and getting out and doing Midwest and ITG and all of that. For those of you who don't know, I'm just going to throw out a shameless plug. I'm also the editor and MD of the Doc Severinsen tribute band. So is my other half who's driving, who is a ridiculous trumpet player. And I'll be working on his project in addition to in addition to all of my other stuff. I love putting out those little TikTok videos, those little bite-sized chunks of info. But I'm also going to be working on that project as well. And it's a cool historical sort of museum project, but great music, great people, good hang, and we're hoping to tour in the next year once sort of settles. We hope.
Awesome. So Sarah, as far as you and your career, what's your focus? Where do you think you're going to go with your career as far as reaching your audience and your students? And
yeah, so this year at Montana State University, I'm up for retention. So I'm going through the process of tenure track. Yeah. And so that's this year. And so I'm going to be journeying through, Lexie, I'm going to be journeying through the process of tenure. Yeah. And so that's one of those longer term goals. Yeah. But I want to maintain a lot of an active presence on social media, connecting, creating, and communicating. I love, there are blessing and curses to everything, right? So there's an up and the downside. To an up, there's a down. And what we've been navigating as musicians and educators with seeing everything being moved online and our worlds kind of colliding electronically, where we may not have expected this soon. Essentially, I think we were working our way towards this in some way, shape, or form. We just were moved there a little quicker. Right. And so what I really love seeing, that I would hope to continue seeing, is how our performance and our education and everything we do are truly going beyond our walls of the state, our walls of our university. And we're sharing and we're creating more than I think we have in the pre-COVID, if you will. Yeah. And so my hope is that I'm looking forward to a lot of really great virtual collaborations, including the virtual trumpet ensemble. And so keeping that going, live streaming performances, doing Bobcat Brass Trio at MSU, where my colleagues and I do trios, doing more symphony work with the Bozeman Symphony, soloing, doing different solo projects, and a lot of things in the works. And I think my main encouragement for everybody who might be watching right now and going, what are we doing? Right. Keep creating and keep doing you, right? Keep communicating, reaching out. For the atmosphere has never been as ready for that, for you, what you specifically have to offer. So be encouraged and just keep getting your stuff out there.
Right. And that's great advice. And I mean, we talked about this earlier. A lot of people that are saying that the music industry is dead or it's never going to be the same are the ones that don't have any content out there. So, get out there. I don't care what you do. If you can buzz on your mouthpiece better than anyone in your town, buzz on your mouthpiece, right? Exactly. So this brings us to Kate. Kate, and I know you gotta split pretty soon, but I was gonna ask you, what is in the future for Kate?
Well, I'm going to be doing more of these virtual shows sporadically. I'm still always going to be commissioning more music. It sort of energizes me in a way to always have something next on the horizon. Obviously, it was a lot easier when we had gigs to do that. But because I can just sit here and do a solo recital, that is what I have. And also going to be just learning more, practicing all the things. I bought an E-flat trumpet before all of this happened, and so I really need to sit down and learn it and learn all that piccolo rep. And yeah, I also, yeah, it's good to do. my duo with my partner, we're going to be doing some shows in Central Park next week, and so having him here and being able to play the new music that we've got recently is definitely exciting. And then in terms of teaching, I'm starting a festival for young students, college students, everyone who wants to learn from diverse faculty, and so in January that's going to be happening. We haven't publicized everything yet, but we will, and it's going to be mind-blowing. So
awesome. So yeah, that's great. And guys, if you can go, Kate, can you tell them right after this where they can go and catch your show?
Yeah, you can check out my Facebook page or my Instagram. I posted the link for tickets there. It's $5, starts at 7, so that would be in an hour Eastern time speaking, and all new music for trumpet that was written in this time, some solo trumpet work, some quartets that I'll be playing over myself. Nice. So the program has video, and yeah, it's gonna be cool.
Thanks, Kate. So yeah, you guys might want to check that out. Go to her Instagram or her Facebook page. You can catch that. It's really awesome. And that brings us to Christi. First of all, Christi, what is in the future for you? First of all, you and I have more than trumpet in common. We love hot sauce. So, so I mean, I've started my own. Like I've seen some of your Anyway, that's just a side thing, but it's just
a demonstration. This is my water jug. I have hot sauce and Salvation Army. Oh, and I went hiking last weekend.
Awesome.
That's
but
passion.
So what's in the future? Because I've seen you're doing a lot more videos, a lot more content of your even your cornet playing, which is great. And so what is in the future for Christi?
Well, the immediate future, actually immediately after this is done, I'm going to lay down a track for a composer in England named Jonathan Mead, who's been doing a lot of work with a friend of mine, but he was wanting me to record a couple of soprano cornet pieces that he's written, and they're all beautiful. So that's great. And then I've been teaching at my local Salvation Army Corps. I've been running a summer school of music for the last month and a half.
Yeah.
And that's ending on Tuesday. I actually teach guitar for that because I'm the only one with a music ed degree. Even though I don't play guitar, my fingers are just cracked and peeling. It's awful. I'm terrible. But that's been wonderful, and just having that to focus on. We're working on creating a more permanent position for me within my division right now. And if that's the case, then I'd be a music education director, assistant music director for the Arkansas, Oklahoma division. Otherwise, I'm just play it. And I'm thinking about maybe trying to put together an album in the next year or so of works for soprano, cornet, piccolo, trumpet.
You should definitely do that. And I will buy the first copy.
Perfect.
So,
I'll buy the second.
So I want to thank all of you again for joining us. We're out of time. And here's the thing, each and every one here on this webinar is like the sweetest individual. They're all amazing people, every single one of them. They're very approachable. Don't think you can't send them an instant message or anything. They will respond. They won't be like, "Who are you? Why are you bothering me?" No, they will. They're all very approachable. So I would highly suggest you go to their Instagram page, go to their Facebook page, friend them. And but I want to thank everybody for taking the time and doing this. Everyone, thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Oh yeah, and then please drive safe, Lexie. Please.
I'm not driving. I'm not even in charge. I'm just along for the ride.
No.
And then we have a very special guest next week. So guys, if you want to catch that on VTE, also VTE will be dropping a world debut of Lexie's arrangement, and it's amazing. So you might want to catch.
So excited!
Yeah.
I can't wait to hear it. I can't wait.
It's really something, and Lexie, yeah. So you might want to catch that. That's going to be released on Friday of this week. So make sure you guys catch that. I just want to thank everybody for joining us today. Have an awesome Sunday, and again, catch Kate's her show later in about an hour. You can catch Christi on Facebook and on Instagram. You can catch Lexie all over the world. She's everywhere. Just all you got to do is put her name in. You will find her. Dr. Stoneback, go ahead and go to her Facebook page or Instagram. So Thank you everybody for doing this, and
Thank
we will
you.
catch every one of you later.
Thank you.
All right.
You-
Be safe, Lexie.
Bye.
Bye.